Good afternoon and welcome to this 27th edition of the daily COVID-19 update show here at Namibia Media Holdings. My name is Toivan Jabela, your host, and I'm joined in the studio by my colleague Esther Kamati. Thank you very much for joining me, Esther.
Thank you for having me, Toivo.
Yes. I'm told that in times like this, it's very, very important that we just sanitize a little bit, because what you touched a minute ago could be the source of the virus.
Definitely, you never know these days where it comes from.
Exactly. So, Esther, let's talk about maybe to start off what is in the papers today. I think there's a lot of debate today, not only in the papers, social media also, and everywhere, about the state of the lockdown. People are saying, of course, the lockdown is supposed to end this week. But there are views that maybe the country is not ready yet. People are saying tests must take place first before we do that. What have you picked up? What are your views?
I think personally we're not yet ready for life to go back to the way it was initially. Yeah. So I feel that maybe we do need to conduct more tests just so that we have a good standing and so that everybody knows what is the status of the virus within the country. Because we can't really make a decision based off 300 plus minus tests that were run. So I feel we still need sufficient time. And also, speaking to some parents, they're not ready to let their kids go back to school right now. There's still a level of uncertainty.
I agree. I think South Africa, for me, is doing very well. As of the weekend, they had tested more than 80,000 people, and that's a good number.
Yeah, that's a good number.
So that when you lift this lockdown, eventually, at least there's an element of comfort that the virus will not reoccur. But another thing, Esther, today is about the Minister of Finance announcing over the long weekend, that they will pay out to pay out this emergency income grant to about 350,000 people, and people are anxious, people are excited. But maybe let me not engage in that conversation now. We had a conversation this morning with Tonateni Shidudu, who is the Chief Public Relations Officer of the Minister of Finance, and this is what he had to say.
People who qualify to take part or to apply for the grant are those between the age of 18 and 59. And this is done through sending an SMS to 141222. When the application started, there was a few hiccups experienced in the system because the system was congested and was unable to respond to so many texts on time. But we have now redeveloped another application, and as we speak, the system has been well capacitated and is able to respond to so many applications in one go. We have so far received more than 500,000 applications, and the system is going well. The verification process is going on. Once that is done, people will get, or applicants will be able to receive their money from their preferred ATMs.
Welcome back. Esther, let's look at the latest statistics as far as infections and tests are concerned. There are no new confirmed cases. We remain at 16, 422 negative results, and 31 people discarded. The number of tests are still under 500 people.
We're moving.
Yeah, I mean, but that's for me a very, very small number. That's why if you had embarked on mass testing, we would have been very, very far, because this our strategy seems to be we wait for someone to show up with symptoms, or that there's a sense that that person was exposed to people with the virus.
Yeah, but I understand there were discussions around mass testing and going that route, but I feel if we are not ready financially, maybe they're still sorting out those logistics. So Slow progress is still progress, but let's just hope that eventually we get to a level where we can do mass testing.
I do. Yesterday I spoke to the Prime Minister. I called her personally, and Okhone, our colleague, also spoke to the Minister of Health, Dr. Shangula, and they both confirmed that government is no longer planning to do mass tests. They are using a different formula, which the Minister of Health explained quite well, but I'm not convinced that personally. But I'm being a devil's advocate, but I don't know. But yeah, okay. So that is that. We leave it there. So our colleague Yohanan Kutsie was at the media center where these daily updates are being held on a daily basis, and today the panel discussion there was around how this virus is impacting tourism in the country. Let's look at some of the conversations held.
In fact, when you look at the international statistical models that are currently being developed in terms of looking at tourism recovery plan post COVID-19, we are currently in the stage of shutdown. And in the stage of shutdown, the characteristics of such a stage is that definitely businesses have come to complete standstill. And that's likewise the same in Namibia, except probably a few exceptions where you have some lodges that are offering quarantine facilities and so forth. So really, quite a number of them have closed. The statistics we have is like 6,000 vehicles are currently parked and not being rented. Information we have as Namibia Tourism Board is about 28 businesses have indicated to us they have closed up to end of June, about 1,200 employees, but it could be more because they've never reported. Some of them have not reported. So it's a very much impacted sector, so to speak. But now when you look at it from the COVID strategy point of view in terms of what WTTC and UNWTO is telling us, of course you have to do it gradually. So the scenarios are on the table are, if the lockdown is going to be open up in terms of global by end of April, we're looking at people making about 25% of sales based on 2019 figures. But if it is still extended to May, we're looking at 5% of sales of figures. And if it is further extended to June, we are looking at 2%. So by end, around, if we could extend it up until end of June, you are likely to find a situation where quite a number of businesses, to be quite frank and blunt, will go bust.
Welcome back. There was Digu Noabeb, the CEO of the Namibia Tourism Board, participating in a panel discussion there. Esther, there is a lot of fear in this tourism industry, hospitality industry, because tourists cannot come into the country. And many establishments, even if there was no lockdown, somehow they were going to just close, because who do you host in these facilities?
Exactly, and it's a thing of knowing who your market is, and obviously their market are people from outside of the country, and even those that are inside wouldn't want to travel considering the current circumstances.
Yes, you must start traveling locally also.
Yeah, definitely.
Namibians, because you don't go anywhere, you just go to nearby places and then you come back.
No, I think
Domestic
now,
tourism.
yeah, I think now that's going to be on many people's bucket list, because considering the lockdown regulations where you're confined to your home, now you want to explore and see what's out there after the lockdown is lifted.
Enjoy a bit of freedom again.
Yeah.
Indeed. Okay, so we have a message, short message. Remember, the lockdown continues as things stand, and the message remains the same. Stay home, do what is necessary, sanitize, wash your hands. And hammering this message home is Michael Dickman, who is a rower. He's a sports personality, also just urging the public to adhere.
Get out, sunshine, move on, that is a between. Get out, sunshine, move on, bring back the memories. Get out,
Hi guys, I'm Maike Diekman and I'm rowing for Namibia and I'll be competing in Tokyo 2021 at the Olympic Games next year. I just wanted to send a message back home. I really hope you guys are taking this pandemic serious, and I really hope everybody's doing their best part in minimizing the spread of this virus so that we can eventually go back to our normal lives. I know it is very hard when we're stuck inside and it isn't easy, but we really, really need to do our part now. We can only stop this if we work together. Please stay at home. Please do not break any rules, and I really hope you are practicing social distancing. If you are stuck at home and you have no contact to family, please reach out to them. It's really important this time now that we are still staying in contact with family and friends. It is not easy and it's very tough on the mental side of things. I hope you guys are doing well. Please stay at home, stay safe, so that we can get through this together. Lots of love. Cheers, guys.
Welcome back. That is a message coming from Michael Dickman, a rower, who is also just saying that we must do exactly what needs to be done in order to survive this episode. Esther, what is coming next?
Okay, so up next, Toivo, we have journalists in and around the regions that are, of course, engaging the members of the community as to how they're being affected by the lockdown and, of course, the preparedness of those particular areas in which they find themselves when it comes to COVID-19. So the clips we're about to see are from the Irongo region and the northern parts, respectively. So let's take a look.
MSR is a non-profit organization that supports unemployed people, where we would connect them to training and then also provide them with employment or link them to employment opportunities. We have done this, originally starting with the men physically sitting on the side of the road, just to give them some more support in their search, in their job search. We've now expanded it to include all unemployed people, thus focusing on the youth, the school dropouts especially, and then women as well. Now with COVID-19, we are facing a huge problem that this unemployment that we are already fighting, the problem is now increased even for our members as well, because some of them were working as part-time workers, and at temporary jobs, and those ones were the first to be cut. So they're back to square one, where they really have to struggle. And another problem is that businesses are closing, so which means that the opportunities are also becoming less for the unemployed. So MSR knows that we'll have to work more harder even after COVID-19 to assist the unemployed to find some more opportunities and more hope, and maybe scaling up our training so that they are more competitive in their job searching. So we know that the current situation will have a huge impact on the unemployed, and we are quite concerned about that. We are willing to work with other organizations and government on a strategy as to how we can assist the unemployed after COVID-19, and to work on something that can really give them more courage to actually go out and find an opportunity to sustain themselves, whether it's through self-employment or whether it's through being employed. So we would really look forward to organizations meeting up with them and to see how we can actually curb this problem that our country is now facing, and especially the unemployment, how because of the increase now after COVID, how we can actually work together on a solution to it.
Shana region has established a regional task force committee team with specialized 7 subcommittees that have been very instrumental in coordinating all our efforts. I've taken note of the good progress we have made as a region in all our effort in preparing and building our capacity in order to effectively respond to any potential COVID-19 cases. I'm particularly impressed by the progress made on the following: setting up of a temporary hospital for COVID-19, the partitioning of 52 rooms and electrical lighting is completed 100%. This temporary hospital will be used for the managing COVID-19 infected patients with mild to severe condition, and also include a ward for doctors and nurses, as well as a wing for sluice facility. So far, 30 beds have been set up in the hospital, and 70 more beds have been fixed by Balombola Vocational Training Center. I commend Balombola VTC for their support, and as part of our preparedness, I task them to going forward to explore the possibilities of manufacturing of some of the PPE provided they meet the World Health Organization requirement. The ICU ward for COVID-19 infected patients has been prepared separately at the Oshakati State Hospital with the sole purpose of managing patients in a critical condition who need higher medical care. I'm aware
the COVID-19 center for Oshana region, and we are not going to consider whether it is for private or, meaning that all the cases, either they are coming from private, they are coming from state, they have been identified through our private practitioners in their consulting rooms, they have to be brought here. It's a central center whereby every COVID-19 case is going to be managed from. Even the staff or personnel which is going to be working here, they are from various institutions. Some are coming from the state, from Oshakati Hospital. Some have been recruited temporarily by the government. Some are coming from Ongwediba Medipac, and some are coming from Ondangwa Private Hospital. So, and even the way where the level of preparedness is now. We came at this level because of joint efforts. We all worked together as state and private institutions together. We have combined our resources.
The Namibian Defence Force and the Namibian Police are currently patrolling through Johanna Benson Street in Quisopmont, Wolfish Bay, and a lot of the people found on street is on the way to the shop. One lady was even saying that no, we will not die of corona, we will die of something else. So that's just some of the attitude the people exhibit here in Quisopmont, Wolfish Bay. And the whole idea is why the police is patrolling in Quisopmont today is to try and sensitize and educate the public on why it is important to stay at home during this time.
Welcome back. That was our views from the regions, particularly in Erongo, Oshana, and Oshikoto regions. Esther, the readers that are commenting on our live stream at the moment, they are talking about the exact deadline of the of this lockdown. Maybe it's important for us to point it out that as things stand, the lockdown ends on Friday. As things stand, I think that should be underlined. But We know that government is consulting. Cabinet is supposed to have met today on Tuesday. It usually meets on Tuesdays. And my understanding in my conversation with the Prime Minister yesterday, there's a sense that Cabinet may then decide today whether the deadline will remain as it is, or that we might extend and follow in the footsteps of the likes of South Africa.
Yeah, and it's definitely necessary to make that decision so that people plan accordingly.
Yeah.
We're talking about institutions of higher learning and schools and other people who are affected, of course, by the decision.
Yeah, true. There's also a reader that commented on whether people have received their emergency income grant today. We don't know, but if you look, if you saw what Tonateni Shizuzu said earlier in the introductory remarks of the show, he actually said payments will start coming in today for those who have applied, and they anticipate that they might pay as many as 350,000 people today. So just stay by your phone. I think there will be some good message coming through anytime now. Earlier today, I also spoke through Skype with my colleague, or our colleague rather, Ileni Nanjato, who's based in Oshana region, just giving us the updates on how prepared Oshana and Oshikoto regions are for COVID-19. This is what he had to say. Eleni, please tell us what is happening in your region now in terms of preparations. I know there's been a lot of activities going on there.
Good morning, Trevor, and to the viewers. As far as preparation is concerned, in Oshana and Shikoto region, these are some of the regions that have been busy setting up facilities for COVID-19. In case there is any positive case or any suspicious patient who needs either quarantine or to be accommodated. In Oshikoto, for example, the Ondangwa Private Hospital have spent almost 200,000 renovating one of the dilapidated wards at the Onanjokwe hospital, and they successfully turned it into an isolation facility. In Oshana region, the preparation was a bit different because it was a bit of a large scale, whereby the leadership, the regional leadership have put up set up a facility at the Ongodiva Trade Fair Center. They turned the Trade Fair Center into a temporary hospital, having with a capacity to accommodate 200 patients. But now the region is faced with a challenge now of budget. They are looking at the central government for their budget. They have submitted a 22.4 million budget for the hospital, whereby they have split it into a portion of a priority, such as they are talking about clinical care, they are talking about requirements, they are talking about the PPE, the personal protective gear for the doctors and all the healthcare personnel who will be taking care of the hospital. Because what they are saying is that this is going to be the only center in the region, and it can also be able to accommodate patients from other regions. And they don't want patients at the Shakati hospital to mix up with patients who who are of COVID-19. So even the doctors who are going to handle patient at the Ongiva Trade Fair, they have made a special arrangement for them as to where to house them and stuff. Over to you, Toivo.
Yeah. Just lastly, Eleni, tell us about situation around the communities. There's been a lot of videos circulating of traditional brews being poured out by police and other armed forces. How is the situation? What is your observation around those kind of events? Briefly.
Okay. On the background is the setup of the trade fair or temporary hospital. I just want to give a short view of how it is. Coming to your question, after Varves Bay and Erongo and Comas were locked down, many people started flocking to the north. And Oshakati, Ondangwa, Ongwediva became one of the center. And it's not different to what has been happening in other regions. It's quite the same here. And maybe what is a bit different is that here people are saying that some people, especially the traditional brewer, or those people who trade in traditional in traditional brews such as Tombo and other stuff, they are now trading from their Mahangu fields, but police officers are going in those Mahangu fields searching for them, and it's quite in terms of arrest. Even here in Shakati, for example, we heard of a police officer who was assaulted by members of the public at Okanjengedi while they were in the operation to enforce the national emergency situation, and then they had a situation, a commotion with members of the public, and then the 3 people were arrested and they were charged to pay 2,000 each, and they are being charged with with charges of assaulting a police officer on duty. And also at Ondangwa, there is also an incident that reported by the police whereby a member or a trader was fined 1,500, was found operating traditional brew a place in Ondangwa and was also charged.
Okay. Eleni, thank you very much for the update. We will be coming back to you later in the week again, but keep up the good work, man. We appreciate it.
All right. Same to you, that side.
Thank you. Welcome back. Welcome back. Esther, that was our colleague Eleni. One of the things that he discussed in that Skype call is this whole thing of police actually raiding houses in the north, homesteads where people are brewing Tombo secretly and stuff like that. You must have seen some of those videos.
I have, and I must say that as much as you are a law enforcer, you still need to respect people's basic human rights. I mean the comfort of my own home. And what makes you think that the brew that I'm making is to go sell? I mean, my family also would like to indulge. So I think as much as we need to respect the law as well, the law enforcers need to respect other people's rights. I
agree. I think there are already lawyers like Nomen Shombe who have taken up the challenge. They have gone out public last week to seek for the number of that guy who was made to roll in a residue of Tombo, so that they can assist him legally to actually sue the state. So the police has to be very careful because they are exposing the state to some of these risks of being sued. But up next is our colleague Tunohole Mungoba, who has spoken to 2 researchers, Namibian students at the University of Cape Town, who are in the country at the moment. talking about the viral vaccine development, especially in times like this. This is what they had to say.
Hello Namibia, my name is Tonole Mongoba and welcome to another edition of the COVID-19 update with Namibia Media Holdings. Today in the studio I am joined by two young dynamic young ladies. I am joined by Ms. Paulina Naupu, a researcher and PhD candidate, as well as Ms. Aune Angobe, a master's candidate. And they are here today to create awareness to the Namibian government, including local institutions and stakeholders, to incorporate viral vaccine development fields. And the two ladies are mastered in vaccine development from the University of Cape Town. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
So first things first, I would like to start off with, given the current situation of the COVID-19 pandemic, what approaches should government and local institutions take at developing vaccines?
Thank you, Tunole, for the question. That's a good point to start off with. COVID-19 is a very unfortunate situation that is going to cost us billions of dollars. However, looking at it from the scientific point of view, I think we need to use this as a wake-up call for especially developing countries to start investing in science, because I feel like developing countries are really neglecting science, especially vaccine development, and we do nothing but depending on the outside world. Because to my knowledge, I think South Africa is the only country that I'm aware of in Africa that is actually looking onto vaccine development. They are trying to look onto expression system, alternative expression system that we can use to produce cheaper vaccines for use in developing countries. Because yes, we have vaccines that are effective. However, these vaccines are very expensive, and at the end of the day, they are not serving their purposes, which is to be used in developing countries where they are most needed. So really, in a nutshell, I think this situation is telling us to invest in science, be it individual researchers, be it government, be it universities. So it's time that we start researching and look in vaccine development to start our own facilities. Yes.
Thank you very much, Ms. Paulina. My next question is directed to you, Ms. Aune. Your colleague mentioned that there are alternative production systems aimed at vaccine development. What are they, and are they currently being used in Namibia?
Okay, so basically, there's tons of vaccines that are available commercially, and these vaccines are effective. However, they are expensive, and this is mainly due to their production system that is very complex. For example, we have bacterial cells, we have E. coli cells, which is a bacteria, of course, and other expression systems, we have yeast and mammalian cells. However, over the years, actually, plants have gained traction as an alternative to these existing production systems. And this is mainly because plants are easy and they are cheap to manage. And what is actually interesting is that plants such as tobacco plants have proved to be effective in producing highly immunogenic vaccines, and some of these vaccines have been approved by the FDA, while others are, of course, in clinical trials. So as a result, plants actually can be used to produce cheaper vaccines.
Okay, ladies, so for to wrap up our interview today, and I would like to direct this to the both of you so that you can share your knowledge from your molecular point of view. What are the lessons that the Namibian government, and including local stakeholders and local institutions as well, and researchers such as yourself, what should we learn or what should we take from this pandemic?
Okay, so basically, I think the first and most important lesson that we should learn from this situation is basically the fact that unavailability and unaffordability of vaccines is the most challenge that developing countries are facing, and this is mainly because this field of research is understudied due to lack of investment from the government, as well as institutions of higher learning, also private sectors and individuals, researchers. Maybe my colleague can.
Okay, that's a good point. I would just like to emphasize on what Aina have said. The field of study is understudied because of government, because of our institution, and because of us as young researchers. So I think the take-home message here is that we need to start investing in science. Be it finance, be it time, be it effort, so that we can be able in the future to develop our own vaccines in general. So I was just watching the news the other day, and there was a suggestion from a doctor saying that the new vaccine be tested on African people, and you get to wonder why. I mean, it's not like Africa is the most hit continent, but then someone is suggesting that this vaccine be tested on African. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not saying it's right, but we depend on these people. We depend on what they are coming up with. So I think this should, although it's really painful, I think we need to use it as a lesson, so that we can start investing, so that we can start coming up with our own things, so that we avoid this kind of situation in the future. So really, I think it's just for us to start doing something. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Paulina and Ms. Anne, for joining us today. We hope that the viewers also do agree with the messages that you have shared today, and we also hope that your message reaches the right people. So from us today at Namibia Media Holdings, thank you and see you guys next time.
There was our colleague Tunohole Mungoba speaking to Paulina and Aune, who are the researchers, or who are researchers rather, at the University of Cape Town, talking about lack of investment in science and how such a miscalculation is now backfiring in our country. And also vaccine. There's a huge debate globally now about whether there should be, I think she made a pertinent point about that scandal last week in France, where some scientists in that country said, no, take the thing to Africa, let's test it there.
And up until now, I personally have not seen anybody that is for that is supporting that these vaccines should be tested in Africa. So I feel it's a bit unfair, because there are other countries that have reported more cases. Then I feel the situation is relatively under control in Africa.
As a matter of fact, these are French scientists, and their country is actually in trouble than any part of Africa. So why don't they study in their country? Esther, what's up next? I know we are drawing towards the end of the show now, but what's next?
Okay, so up next we are well aware that many people are working from home, so that means that there's long hours sitting on the couch slouching, and we sometimes don't get time to get some exercise into it. Also up next we have our daily couch tips with Crystal, just showing our viewers some very simple exercises that they can do while at home.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Crystal, and I would like to share our daily couch tips with you. So first of all, let's start by sanitizing our hands. So we need to remember that this is part of our daily routines now during this lockdown period. I just indulged myself by reading one of our Tourismus magazines. If you'd like to have this magazine in front of you on an online platform, please visit our Tourismus website. You'll see the link below, and please enjoy this. There's a lot of Tourismus magazines that are archived on that platform. Also, just remember, we need to always keep our mouths moist. Drink some water after every 10 minutes or so. Keep hydrated. So for our couch tip today, I'd like to share with you our yoga couch potato tips. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to put my one leg over onto my other leg on top of my knee. And then I'm going to keep my back straight. During this process, remember that we need to always breathe in and out, nice and deep, and slowly out. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to roll my foot around. So while I'm keeping my back straight, I'm going to roll my foot around. What you can also do is you can massage your foot while you're at it, because this is going to get some blood flowing through to your legs. And you can just repeat it on the other side. As easy as that. If you have any tips that you'd like to share with us, please WhatsApp us on 0811 7010. Thank you for watching us, and stay tuned for our next session, and be safe. Goodbye.
That was our colleague Crystal, just showing us how we must survive this whole thing from a fitness point of view from home. But before we let you go again, it's very, very important that in a very dull moment like this, that there's always a silver lining, and we are now going to show you some photos that we hope will lighten up your day. That one is from
that's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a full moon photo taken by Clint of Fish, just sharing with us, and that is the number to which anyone can share the photos. They are good moments, photos or videos. That one is from Hendy's Bay, where again, where you are indoors, you can pray inside your yard, do some nice things, enjoy the sunshine. So those are the positives. We not all is lost. We will emerge out of this situation very soon, hopefully. And yeah, so we have every reason to hope, Esther.
Definitely, and the message is always that we are in this together. So everybody is feeling the heat of isolation, but if we stick to the rules, we need to stay at home now so that we can leave the house tomorrow.
Indeed, and this sums up today's show. I hope you enjoyed the information that we brought to you, and I will be back here, same time, same place tomorrow.